Hello and welcome back to Elise Reads and Speaks. Guys, it has been a while. I was doing my 12 days of Vlogmas and then I just went poof and vanished. It's not that I didn't want to record videos, it's just that I had some major health problems going on. I was in and out of the hospital and doctor's appointments and it's still continuing to this day and I just have had no energy to film anything. So today seems to be a good day, so I'm gonna film more. I'm gonna give you my December wrap up today. Yes, in February, I'm giving you my December wrap up. Hopefully pretty soon I'll give you my January wrap up, and I'd also like to do a year review as far as my best reads in 2021 and my worst reads in 2021. But today is just gonna be the December wrap up. So the good news about being in and out of the hospital is that you have very long waits. And what do you do during those long waits? You read. So I ended up reading 20 books in December. I talked about a lot of them actually during my recap for the Reindeer Readathon check-in. Side note, my team did not win this year, which is very sad because I'm competitive. But okay, I know that I pulled it out for my team because I read so much that it's okay. It's okay, I digress. I'm not gonna talk about the ones that I've already talked about. I can link that down below and I'll give like a little rehasher at the end of the other books that I've talked about and the stars that I gave them. But let's just go through the ones that I have not mentioned yet on my channel. So towards the beginning of the month, I didn't include this in any of my prompts for the Reindeer Readathon because I think I had started it in November and finished it in December, and that is Wicked As You Wish by Chupeco. Well, I gave this 1 star. It was not good. It was not good. I'm a sucker for anything fairy tale retelling, and I just could not get pulled into this, and it was a slog to get through, and I had to keep giving myself the pep talk, you know, pick it back up. You can do it. Pick it back up. And I did, and it wasn't good, and I kind of regretted pushing all the way through it because it was pretty bad. I felt like this was one of those stories that just mentioned fairy tale characters to appeal to the masses, like, hey, this has fairy tale characters in it, and you like fairy tale retellings, and you should read this book. But the rest of it, it was bad, guys. It was bad. I'm not going to talk that much more about a 1-star book. Let's go on to the next one that I haven't hit on. Oh, City of Bones by Martha Wells. Not Cassandra Clare, Martha Wells. Let me give you a little background story about this particular book. I don't own it anymore because I have passed it on. So like years ago, I was going to YALLFest and I decided, you know, based on these authors that were going to be there, let me get some of the books that I want signed, and I just ordered a bunch off of like Amazon or eBay or something, okay? Something cheap. Got them in the mail, was gonna bring them to YALLFest. However, there was one that I didn't pay that much attention to. It was like a library binding and I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Dude, I didn't pay attention to the author. So like I opened it up and I thought I was getting City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. No, it's City of Bones by Martha Wells. So you know what I did? I didn't read it that year. In my book club, we do like a dirty Santa kind of thing, and we just bring books that we really don't want to keep on our shelves, and then, you know, everybody steals them or gets stuck with them in this case. So I passed it off to somebody, she ended up reading it, and then the next year when she brought it back to put in the cycle for the dirty Santa game, I got stuck with it again, and then I was like, okay, I guess I have to read this book. And I did it before our December meetup for book club because we were gonna do Dirty Santa again. And I was like, okay, I'm at least going to read this book so that I can put it back into the cycle. I did read it. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like it. It did have futuristic Aladdin type vibes to it, but it was just, it was an adult fantasy, and I feel like adult fantasies are a slog to get through. I love fantasy, I really do, but I have found that I have liked YA fantasy a lot more than adult fantasy because it gets to the point. And this did not get to the point. I didn't like hate it with a passion, so I didn't give it 1 star, but that was a solid 2 stars. And now Jess has it in book club. Hope you like it this year, Jess, and I expect to see it back in rotation for the next Christmas party. All right, the next book that I read in December, this was, Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. So earlier in December, I had read Royals by Rachel Hawkins, and I gave it 3 stars. I like a good royal story. I like it when it's in YA form. I gave it 3 stars because I had read similar things, and those similar things did it kind of better. So I was like, I mean, it was fine. It passed the time. Wasn't anything memorable. However, I liked the second book significantly more than the first book. I don't know if you can just skip the first book and go on to the second. I can't remember if you can do that, if it makes any big deal. But just so you know, like the second book was so much better and it was sapphic and the characters were more likable and I was just so much more into it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. See, sometimes that is why you push on with the series if you give the first book 3 stars. Sometimes if you're a little curious, just read the next one and see if you'll be more into it. You never know. The next book that I read this month was a pleasant surprise for me. This was Sibby's choice. Sibby picked this one, and that is The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. I didn't know what to expect, and I like a good spooky story, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'll read it. I gave this one 5 stars. I was so into it. It was like witchery and body snatchers, and like you're somehow rooting for the person that did the body snatching. Like it was so good. Like I actually want to read this one again. And I'm kind of sad that I have a paperback copy of this because I know myself and I know the books that I want on my shelf are hardcover. So now I'm gonna need to find a hardcover of this because I know that I want to keep it and I know that I don't want the paperback. Listen, we all have our things. I know when I love a book, I want it to be on my shelf in hardcover, okay? That's my thing. However, if you're into spooky stories and you have not tried this one yet, dude, you have to. You have to give it a whirl and you have to let me know what you think. The next book that I finally got to was Queens of Fennbirn by my girl Kendare Blake. Dude, I love Three Dark Crowns. I love Three Dark Crowns so much. This is a little novella. It had 2 stories in it and I really did like them. Was it as good as the rest of the series? No, of course not, okay? But I really did like reading these stories. I liked seeing the 3 young queens together and their relationship, and I liked hearing about this Oracle Queen that we had heard about in the main series, and we didn't really know the backstory there, so I thought it was pretty cool to actually read the backstory and see what they were talking about. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. And I guess I was just on like a Rachel Hawkins kick because I read Royals and I read Her Royal Highness and I was like, oh, there's another Rachel Hawkins book. I guess I'll try it. And this one is Hex Hall. I gave this one 3 stars. I like any type of magical academy where different supernatural creatures come and learn things together. But it's not one that really grabbed me and sucked me in. I have no desire to go on to the next. I know that I gave Royals 3 stars and then I went on to the next one and I gave that one 4 stars, but I didn't feel it with this one and I honestly can't remember a lot of it. I didn't hate it, so I know it's not like 2 or 1 star, but I don't really have much to say about this one other than it was a book and I read it. Then I did it, you guys. I did it. I read Gilded by Marissa Meyer. If you remember from my chapter sampler vlog, I was very surprised that I sampled a few chapters from this and I didn't like it. I was like, I don't know if I really want to read this one. But I decided, okay, I have to. It's Marissa Meyer. There are so many books by her that I love and it is a fairy tale retelling and she usually knocks those out of the park, so I have to read it. I didn't hate it. Didn't love it. Gave it 3 stars. It was middle of the road. I do think it was better than the initial sampler vibe that I got, but I just got to the end and I really didn't care that much. And I have no desire to go on to the next one. Listen, I gave it a shot. She writes very, very long books. And I feel like if I'm not captivated by the first one in that series, I cannot go on to the next ones because I know that they're going to be like 500 plus pages and it's just not worth it. I think it might be a personal bias thing too. I'm just not into the tale of Rumpelstiltskin. Like I try and it's interesting. Like the story is interesting. It's just not a fairy tale that has ever spoke to me. So I feel like there's some personal bias here of where I just wasn't going to be super into it. It was fine. It was fine. It was not Lunar Chronicles. It was not Heartless. I loved those. This was just meh. It was okay. And guys, you are not going to believe what I got through in December, okay? I read both The Dragon Republic and The Burning God. Dude, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Like I said, I was in and out of the hospital. I mean, there was one day that I was there for 17 hours. I needed something to do. Dude, I read, and I finished both of these massive books in 1 month. Can't believe it. All right, so just to go through my like Poppy War trilogy, Poppy War I had given 4 stars. Dragon Republic is a reread for me. I still stuck with 4 stars for that one. I actually ended up giving The Burning God 3 stars because it was all right. It's not what I wanted it to be, and by the end I felt like it was lagging on. Like, there were some good things in there, and I do like some of the character development that happened. I really do. And there were still curveballs thrown that you didn't see coming, and I thought that was cool. But when I got to the end of the series, I was just kind of like, okay, it's over. You know, I didn't really feel anything. And I felt like if I could feel something like it did at the end of the Poppy War, I mean, that's a solid 4-star book. But at the end of The Burning God, I was like, I mean, there were some things that I really did like, so it's not going to get less than 3. I really did like some things in there, but I just don't care. I don't care. Oh no, what a bummer to end on a 3-star when I had such high hopes after the first book. You win some, you lose some. Let's count this as a win because I read both of them in 1 month. Next, I listened to the audiobook of If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich. Now, this one I had high hopes for because it's 2 boys in a boy band that end up having a relationship. They don't want to publicize it because, you know, they're in a boy band. The newspapers will go crazy, okay? I am a big NSYNC fan, so anytime that there's like a boy band story, I feel like I have to read it because I was heavy into NSYNC, like you would not believe. This one, I don't know. It's not that it was bad. I just think it wasn't for me. I think I am past this point in my life, and like the relationship was fine. Hearing about boy bands, it was fine. I just didn't feel one way or the other. That being said, it was not a bad book. It's not. It's not that it was a slog to get through or that I was listening to it and I was like, this is total and utter crap. I didn't feel that way. I just feel like there wasn't anything for me in there, and I felt like I was reading a book that I just wasn't the target audience for, and I tried to find some way to connect and I just didn't, so I'm sticking with 3 stars. Finally, my kid and I finished School for Good and Evil. Dude, we started this in 2020, and then my kid just like goes off in his own world and reads other books and forgets about the ones that we're reading together. And I would try to push him to keep reading. And finally, in 2021, the very last month of 2021, we finished it. This is a reread for me. I love the School for Good and Evil. Clear 5 stars, nothing new. I still have not read the last 2 books in the series. I think I'm gonna reread the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th by myself because I can't take over a year to read a book. It drives me insane. So I'll read them by myself and then I'll go on to the 5th and 6th. Then I listened to the audiobook of A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. This one was okay. I like fairy tale retellings. This is a Beauty and the Beast fairy tale retelling. I also liked that there's some disability rep in here because the main character in here has cerebral palsy. And I love that. And I feel like people with this disability will find this such a powerful character to get behind. Like, the main character in this was strong. She took crap from no one. And I will say that I really did like her. It's just that the book itself, with that aside, I feel like I've read before and I wasn't crazy about it. It wasn't a bad book. It's just, it's really fat for one. And when I got to the end, I was like, okay, there are things that I like here, but I don't know. And I wrote in my review that I think I would go on to the next one. But now that some time has gone past, I don't think I will. I have no desire to read the next book in this, and I have no desire to keep this on my shelf because I know I won't read it again. So this one will be going far away. And then that's sad because honestly, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And the little cliffhanger that this leaves off on, I want to see his story. I want to see where this guy came from and what his background is, but I don't want to know enough to read another 500-page book. I don't care that much. I'll just read the Cliff's Notes on that. And my last book that I have not mentioned yet is another Kendare Blake book, All These Bodies. I know that you're going to expect me to fangirl over this one. I'm not going to. I gave it 2 stars. Can you believe that? Like, I love Kendare Blake. I talk about her all the time. I talked about her earlier in this video because of Three Dark Crowns. I talked about her during my 12 days of Vlogmas and gave a video directly fangirling about her Buffy book. Like, I love Kendare Blake. I did not love this book. Like, I really did not. And I'm so bummed by it. I mean, it had some supernatural stuff in there, and, you know, if you're into killers, slasher type books, you might be interested in this one. It's like a psychological, it wasn't even a thriller. I can't even put the word thriller on the end of that. I was just, I wasn't into this one, which is a bummer because my edition is signed. But you know what? I'm not going to keep a book that I don't like on my shelf. And somebody from book club already said that they want to give this a try, so it's going off to Erica. All right, so those are all the books that I had not mentioned yet, right? Now I'm gonna do a little montage right here of the books that I have mentioned just to refresh your memory on what I read. Okay, so those are all of the 20 books that I read in the month of December. Thank you for tuning in to Elise Reads and Speaks. You know, I really hope that I crank out some more videos and that they're not 2 months apart, but I'm not gonna promise you anything, okay? Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.